Chris and I did a Coach of the Year as of right now draft earlier this week, and Shanahan was one of the first picks because he is getting it done with three different quarterbacks, and he integrates Christian McCaffrey on the fly early in the season, and they just keep rolling, and they keep getting better, and now they've clinched the division, and now they're going to potentially be the number 2 seed. So, look, Nick Sirianni is going to get plenty of consideration, and he's going to deserve it because the Eagles are going to be the 1 seed. It's virtually impossible at this point for the 49ers to catch them. But what Kyle Shanahan has done amid all those injuries that are inevitable the way that the 49ers play their game, that 40-1, I said it on Wednesday, folks, 40-1. Those odds aren't going to stay 40-1, not after last night. He's going to be up there near the top.
They're different today than they were before this game.
Those of you inclined to legally or otherwise put in a ticket for Kyle Shanahan Coach of the Year, you better do it before the odds change because it's looking pretty good for him. And the rising tide lifts all boats, Peter. DeMeco Ryans, defensive coordinator, getting more and more buzz. And this is how it goes. Regardless of a coach's abilities, because we don't know what any coordinator is going to do, just like with Brock Purdy. You don't know what he's going to do until he's on the field. You don't know what any coordinator is going to do as a head coach until he's got the job. It's a fundamentally different job, different existence, different responsibilities, different communication, different everything. So you just got to go do it, and you see. And for every Kevin O'Connell, there's a Nathaniel Hackett. And it works or it doesn't. But DeMeco Ryans, by virtue of being defensive coordinator on this team that is flying high with this great defense, as Dick Vermeil said at his Hall of Fame induction speech, I became a much smarter coach when I got Marshall Faulk. I mean, you got Nick Bosa, you're a hell of a smart defensive coordinator. Yes, I'm one great coach when I've got the best defensive player in football on my team. But still, Peter, this is how it goes because we're seeing what he can do and we're hearing the praise, and the audience is that handful of owners is going to be looking for coaches, and they're going to hear it, and they're going to believe it, and he's going to get his opportunity. The ship is going to come in for DeMeco Ryans. He interviewed for the Vikings job last year. I think that was the only one that he had an in-person interview for. I may be wrong, but he's going to get more than one this year. He's going to be the guy at the top of everybody's list, and he should be.
You know, the big question for DeMeco Ryans is the same way it was the big question for Matt Eberflus. Who's your offensive guy? Who's going to tutor your quarterback? You know, wherever he would get a job, who's gonna tutor you? Let's say it's I'm just gonna pick one out. Let's say it's Denver. Who do you have who can fix Russell Wilson? Let's say it's Arizona. Who do you have? Who are you bringing with you who can fix Kyler Murray? And who can play without Kyler Murray probably for half of the season, if not more. And so those are the big questions because nobody's going to have many questions about either his scheme or the way he reaches players. You know, Fred Warner told me this, I don't know, maybe a month ago. But Fred Warner said, look, one of the great things about having DeMeco Ryans as defensive coordinator is he's been there. We have watched he said, I watched his tape. I watched his tape from when he was a player. And we see that this isn't just hot air. He's actually done it. He's performed what he's asking us to perform. And I always think that helps. When a coach knows what a player is going through, a coach will be able to say, hey, listen, like after last night, and I don't know what the 49ers did, but I'm assuming Kyle Shanahan gave him the next 3 days off before they have to come back and get ready for that Saturday game, the Christmas Eve game against Washington in Santa Clara. But he'll know, he'll be able to read his team to know, is it more important now to rest? Is it more important now to put the pedal to the metal still? And those are the kind of things that I think you're going to get when you buy DeMeco Ryans. That plus the fact, in my opinion anyway, I think you cannot overestimate the fact that he's got really good players. But it's like Pat Riley once told me, Mike, a long time ago before I was exclusively covering football. He said the biggest myth in coaching is if you've got great players, you just got to roll the ball out. He said those players want to know that you're going to help make them better. And that is what you need to do as a head coach. And so to me, I think he knows that because he has been in the business of being a Pro Bowl linebacker and trying to get better. And I think somebody out there is going to recognize that and is going to hire him and give him a shot.
And this is a subject for a deeper dive at some point down the line, maybe once he has a head coaching job. But very rarely do you see a great player, a guy who was one of the best in his day, become a head coach, become a potentially very effective head coach. So there's a lot going on for DeMeco Ryans, and he was great as a player, and he's pivoted quickly to becoming a great coaching candidate. And the defensive coordinator side of it is real, Peter, because if you get the right offensive coordinator to make that connection, that all-important connection to the quarterback, and it works, what happens? You got to find another one. And if it works and he makes the connection with the quarterback, you got to find another one. And that's why I just generally, and I always feel bad saying this, especially around Coach Dungy, I generally would say I want an offensive guy as my head coach because I like with Kevin O'Connell, I want him to lock onto my quarterback, and I know he's going to be there like Sean Payton and Drew Brees. I know that partnership's going to last. I don't have to worry about getting disrupted if we're suddenly a Super Bowl contender. That's part of what a great defensive coordinator becomes a great head coach is going to have to worry about in today's NFL. Your offensive coordinator who does well with your quarterback is going to be gone. You just have to go find another one. And maybe DeMeco Ryans will be uniquely suited to thriving in that environment that does create a disadvantage for a defensive coach.
I think one of the things you're talking about right now, Mike, is, sort of the Luke Getsy syndrome. Luke Getsy, basically now the offensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears, comes down from Green Bay, working with Aaron Rodgers and all that. And so I think everybody assumed that Luke Getsy is going to try to turn Justin Fields into Aaron Rodgers South. He didn't do that. He said, I have a guy who's one of the greatest athletes ever to play the position in the NFL, and I'm going to take advantage of that. And look, even though Aaron Rodgers is a very good athlete and is nimble in the pocket, he's not running the ball the way Justin Fields is. And so he decided right away. And I talked to Getsy mid-season maybe, and we were talking about Justin Fields, and he said, one of the things that I really like to do is I like to get, all of these guys in a room and basically talk to them about, here's what I want to do. Comments, questions, thoughts, give me, and so he is almost a democratic leader in some ways, Getsy, because he wanted to make sure that everybody was going to be on board. And I only mention that because I think sometimes when you are looking for an offensive guy, you want him to come in and say, I am putting my stamp on this team. It's not the only way it works, though. It really isn't. It can work in a number of ways. I've seen it in a lot of years covering football. But the one other point about what you want in your offensive coach, all right, at least this is what I would want. We're hearing now a lot of things, or I've heard it over the last couple of months. David Tepper wants the next Sean McVay. He wants a young Sean McVay. He looks at all the examples of young offensive coaches going in places. Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco, McVay, Kevin O'Connell, Minnesota. I mean, we can count them up. There's a lot of them out there. And you're looking at all of these coaches and you're basically saying, what do they have in common? And they have in common the simpatico with the quarterback. And right now, you just have to wait and see who is out there right now, who are people really going to believe in? Who are the next wave of really good offensive minds who we may not really see them right now on December 16, but probably in about 3 or 4 weeks, we're going to start to see the hot guys who the owners and the GMs really like.
Oh, it's coming too. As soon as the regular season ends, that carousel starts to spin, and we'll be repeating things that we say every offseason. It happens too quickly. It distracts guys in the playoff push. It's too much for these coaches to try to balance all of the demands on their time and focus fully and completely, as they should be, on finishing the task of taking their team all the way to the top.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.